Hi everyone, let's build a Warmoth Tele. In this segment, we'll be soldering the wiring harness. Unfortunately, my video camera failed me, but I've already applied the flux, or rosin. You can see a drop of it there on the left potentiometer, the tone pot. This is in order to help the solder melt faster, and it cleans the joint of impurities while you're soldering. You'll notice I'm not showing temperatures or anything. I'm actually using a leaded solder in this case, and you should absolutely not do that. That's all I had in stock. I use it for repairing vintage tube amps, and that's only because the new silver lead-free solder doesn't mix well with the lead-free solder in my experience. I will tell you here, you want a higher heat for soldering to the back of the potentiometer. In fact, if you're worried about burning something up, having too low of a heat and sitting there forever is worse than really cranking it and getting it hot, getting the solder melted and getting out of there quickly. Of course, there is a limit. At a certain point, if you have your iron too hot, you'll just be vaporizing the solder. You really don't want to be breathing the fumes when you're doing that. And of course, it goes without saying, don't breathe solder fumes. You should move to a well-ventilated area. If you have any sort of a solder sucker or odor eater air purifier, you'll want to run that. I was using the leaded solder, so I moved everything outside to make sure I didn't contaminate my living space. That's definitely paranoid, but better safe than sorry. Go ahead and thread our output cable through from the output jack. Put our little protective coating back down. We'll get that soldered on. Don't forget the output goes from the middle lug on the volume, and the ground will go to the back of the tone potentiometer. Ooh, it is hideous. Alright, next we'll clean it up. Just using alcohol. You could use acetone instead. In this case, I'm using grain alcohol or Everclear. You definitely don't want to drink it once you've used it to clean up this mess, though. I cut an old water bottle in half and put a little bit of alcohol in the bottom of it. Grab a handful of Q-tips and let them soak while I'm doing this. I go through probably 7 or 8 Q-tips in this process. Want to make sure I get all of this off of here, especially the drops on the control plate. You can kind of see the haze there where I haven't gotten it all completely clear yet. about here, you'll see a good shot of the alcohol evaporating away. It's always pretty entertaining. There it goes. That's not a video effect, that happens in real life. Here you can really see that tone capacitor just barely made it on there. Those leads were so short. You shouldn't have that problem with a brand new capacitor. Of course, with a new one, you want to take care not to have too much lead left over. I find it useful to space the lead out so it's comfortable to solder. And then any excess lead, just let it go past the solder point and clip that off afterwards with some sharp wire cutters. In fact, you'll notice basically every joint on this thing, there's a few wires that I could go back and clean up with some real sharp wire cutters. I'm not going to do that because I'm confident that this is going to work just fine. None of these wires are going to be shorting anything out. If you do go back through to make your own work tidy with the wire cutters, make sure not to leave the little clipped bits laying around in there. They can cause more problems than doing nothing. Alright, we're looking pretty good. All the solder joints are flowed out and shiny. You can tell you don't have any cold solder joints there. Let's get rid of some of the last smudges of rosin, and we're ready to go ahead and get this puppy installed. Doesn't look so bad, and now that it's all cleaned up, huh? Apologize for the shaky camera work here. Every time the wind blew, the camera just started bouncing. Alright, we'll get some of this painter's tape out of our way. The mess is cleaned up. Good thing we laid out our barrier ahead of time. Now we'll carefully push the wires in to where they'll fit in the cavity comfortably. You don't want to go rushing it or cramming them in there. The last thing you want to do at this point is break your hard work. We'll tuck our little wire loops in so they're out of the way. Push the grounds up and tuck those away as well. Perfect. Now we just reinstall the screws. And we are all set. We've got a wired tele. We're getting close now. We've got the wiring in. We've got the fret edges rolled. Up next, we're going to be installing the neck. Hope you'll stay tuned. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great rest of the day.